right. Shalom, shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Today is a Shabbat. So Shabbat shalom and welcome to another week of A Light to the Lost Sheep of Israel. I'm your brother Makadai Israel.
Your brother Bessel YAHWEH'S Israel.
And before we begin, we already said our prayer, but let's give all praise and honor to the Almighty Yahweh in the name of his only begotten Son, Yeshua HaMashiach, our high priest and our soon-to-come King, Redeemer, and Deliverer. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about Yahweh's Hierarchy series. This is another segment in that series. If you haven't already watched, we did a Shabbat study on Yahweh's hierarchy being destroyed. So this is going to go into the woman, the child, and the emasculated man. That's what we're going to go into today. And we're going to start it off on a positive note. When I prayed on this, Abba Yahweh brought to my mind, through prayer and through the Ruach, I was only going to focus on the woman and the child. But through further prayer, we cannot just talk about the woman and the child without talking about the problems with the actual head of the family. And the main problem is the emasculated man. It comes from the disobedience of the woman, the disobedience of the children, and our roles being reversed, so to speak. But we cannot get into this without also highlighting the emasculation of the black man in America. So we're going to start off on a positive note, though, today. So for right now, we're going to turn to the book of Kepha, or Peter, in the transliterated name. 1 Peter 3. Hold on. Because I had it up here. I think I just hit the wrong button. Give me a second, because I want to put it up here for everybody to see. It's going to be 1 Peter chapter 3, and we're going to do verses 1 through 7. All right. So let me see. I think I got it up here now. Now I'm messing up the whole order. All this technology, man. Things are so much different from back when we was in school. Back then, all I had was a beeper, a hard line.
Yeah, yes, sir. I remember the beepers.
Yeah. I know what I'm doing. I'm pushing all the way over on the right-hand side, and I'm supposed to be pushing on the left-hand side. All right, so it's 1 Peter 3, 1 through 7. All right, I think I got it now. So I like for people to be able to follow along with us. And anybody that go to our YouTube page, A Light to the Lost Sheep of Israel, please like, share, and subscribe. And when you follow along with us, get your actual Bible out and follow along with us. We'll try to put scriptures and stuff like that up like this. But if you can, definitely follow along with us in the spirit of the Almighty Yahweh, because this is his words, not ours. All right, so let me turn to it. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 1 through 7. This is Yahweh's series, hierarchy series, the woman, the child, and the emasculated man. So we're going to start right here with the apostle, Elder Kepha, and he says in verse 1, likewise. Hold on. And then, like I said, brother, just let me know if you need to chime in. I'm gonna check in with you, though.
What I'll do is I'll do like that.
Okay. All right. Praise Yah. Okay. All right. And it reads right here in verse 1. Likewise, you wives. So first, right off the jump, the apostle is addressing the wives of the family. And we already know in the hierarchy is Yahweh, Yeshua, husband, wife, child. So he's going down to the wives. He's saying, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversations of the wives, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear, or coupled with reverence to Yahweh. Okay, those or whose adoring, let it not be that outward adorn of plaiting the hair and of wearing of gold or of putting on of apparel. So basically what he's saying here is, like, when you out there and you talking to people, we want Yahweh's glory to shine through. And his glory shines through the people. So when you out there, he don't want you to get glory for how you look as a woman. He wants your conversation to be holy and kodesh, just like your husband's conversation is holy and kodesh as well. All right. Verse 4 reads, but let it be the hidden man of the heart, and that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of Yahweh of great price. For after this manner in the old time, the Kodesh women also, who trusted in Yahweh, adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands. Okay? And so we see that he's reiterating this. So this is the second time he said this. Okay? Within a matter of 5 verses. He's saying for our women to be in subjection to your husband. What does subjection mean? It means to reverence your husband and follow his lead. He is supposed to be the leader of your family. He's supposed to be the one that was made in the image of Yahweh. Okay, so in the hierarchy series, that's like the man is in subjection to Yahshua. Okay, so when we follow the hierarchy, we're following after Yahshua. We can't follow Yahweh. We follow his word, but nobody has seen Yahweh at any time. All right, but we were made in the image of Yahweh, and we know that body image is Yahshua HaMashiach. So we were made in his image. And so the woman was taken from the man. So that's part of the hierarchy. It's Yahweh. Then Yahweh's word was manifest. Then the man was manifested after Yahshua. We were made in his image. And then the woman was taken from the man's rib. And then the children come out of the woman's womb. So it's in a consecutive amount of steps that the hierarchy was created. Literally. So as we speak it, it actually was literally created by Yahweh, right? And that's why he's saying, wives, be in subjection to your husband. And look at verse 6. It says, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him master or ruler, whose daughters you are, as long as you do well and are not afraid with any amazement. All right, we're in 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 1 through 7. We read in 6 right here, and we're going to finish up right here. Verse 7 reads, likewise, you husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the favor of life, that your prayers be not hindered. So he's telling the man as well. That's why I said we can't talk about the hierarchy without talking about the man as well. Saying you husbands, dwell with your wives according to knowledge. So not according to your own heart, but do it according to the knowledge that Yahweh gave us. Okay? To love our wives and to honor our wives as well, according to the scripture. All right? Go ahead, brother. You want to add to that?
No, brother. It's enough. It's there.
All right. So now, with that said, like I said, this is a beautiful thing to talk about right here. There's nothing wrong with a woman following her husband. The problem comes when a woman doesn't follow her husband. Look around. That was the very first sin. The very first sin in the garden was Eve was approached by a stranger, a wicked stranger, Satan, Shaitan, Ha-Shatan, as we know it in the Hebrew Israelite community. And she did not respect her covering at that time. Didn't go to her husband and say, hey, some dude over here, trying to talk to me. She didn't do that. She didn't listen to the commandment that our Creator gave her. Because he gave that commandment to her husband and he gave it to her because of the hierarchy. She still didn't listen. And because of that, now we have all of the sin that we have today. It's just that simple. So with that said, let's go to the book of Isaiah chapter 3. Go ahead, brother. I ain't even mute you.
You know what? Something came to mind now. I thought about this. This right here, I gotta say this. Where it says, okay, we talking about that's a commandment. Yahweh is telling the woman, because of hierarchy and because he's Yahweh, to submit to your husband. Now, what's so detrimental about it is that obedience. If you don't do this, then you're being disobedient to Yahweh. And guess what? You can miss salvation. Why? Because if you never submit to your husband, it's perpetual sin that you chose to live a lifestyle of perpetual sin. See, because Satan to make you think that that's not that important. That's sin. All sin is important. It's when you continually do it without repenting. That means it's perpetual, and therefore even that sin right there make you miss the mark and don't get in the kingdom. And think of how serious it is, because remember what Brother Makadai said, Eve was the first one that did it, and everything fell after that. And besides that, the hierarchy is so important that Yahshua is the head of the man, and the man is head of the woman. So he's giving you a comparison to show you that Yahshua, Yahweh is the head of Yahshua. Yahshua is the head of the man, to tell you how important it is. You have to import a woman and a man has an important role in this hierarchy. And if you go on against that, you're in perpetual sin, and you can miss the mark of salvation just because of perpetual sin and not submitting.
Hallelujah. That's the truth, brother. And we're going to get into that some more, because what this lesson is going to do is going to highlight a lot of the plagues that we have in the Black community, the Hebrew Israelite community, as a lot of us growing up without a father in the house. Right. We could do a poll right now, and I ain't trying to put nobody on blast, but how many of us here grew up without a father in the house? Right. I'll put my hand up first. My father wasn't there.
No, mine either.
What about you, sister? Was your father there? Like I said, I'm not trying to put nobody on blast, but the statistic is so high without the head of the father, the head of the family being in the house. It's really a generational curse, and it stems back all the way back to the garden, and it stems to each time Israel transgresses the commandments, and then the curses come upon us, and we're going to go into that real shortly. Then thus why the father is out of the house. It's an ongoing cycle, and we have to break it. And the only way to break it, the truth, is to turn back to Yahweh as a people. Man. It's the only way. We could talk about it till we blue in the face, but unless we all transform our heart, our mind, to want to be obedient to Yahweh, we are not going to be able to break these curses. It's just not going to happen. But these conversations are important, because it is waking up a remnant of people and turning them back to Yahweh. And it's those people that we're really concerned about, because it's those people that are going to inherit the kingdom of heaven. It's those people. And all of those who don't want to be obedient, according to the book, it says there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. It's just that simple. All right. So let's go to the book of Isaiah chapter 3. We're going to start right here in the book of Isaiah chapter 3. And I'm going to start right here at verse 1. As we see on the screen, I'm going to read down a little bit. And it reads, and it says, "Behold, Yahweh, Yahweh of hosts, does take away from Jerusalem and from Yehudah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water." Let's stop right here at this verse right here. There's a lot of times we'll read something like this and just go ahead and gloss over it. But what is the stay and the staff? So if we look into the concordance and look up that Hebrew word for the word stay, it's Mason. My son's name is Mason as well. Mason, M-A-S-E-N, and it's H4937. So that word for stay is Mason in the Hebrew, and it means protector or sustenance. That's what stay means, right? So who is the protector of the family? That is the man. Or who's the sustenance of the family? It's the man, right? Okay. So then let's look at that other word, staff. That's Messina. All right. Similar to Mason. Mason is the root word, but it's H4938. And staff means, like we know today, a staff or walking stick. And who uses the staff and the walking stick? That's the man, especially the elder man. And that's what we're supposed to get all the wisdom from in the community. The elder man, he passes down all the stories to the young boys and girls, and that's how you pass on oral tradition, through the elders of the community. You know, when we read back in the biblical history, there was always 70 elders, or it was 70 elders that rolled with Moses, right? So I asked that question today. Where are the 70 elders at today? You know, we got a lot of people coming through teaching and all that. But then if you guys have not checked out Come Out of Her, My People, episode 1, that was something that I posed in that. It's like, where are all the people that's supposed to be teaching Israel right now? Yeah, we got people teaching, but we got a lot of people that aren't on the same page. See, the elders, the 70 elders, along with Moses and Aaron, they were all on the same page. And that's how Israel was able to stay in check, because they all abide by the Torah. So that's what me and my brother Betzuel just said. You know, the solution to all of this fornication and idolatry and the hierarchy being destroyed is to turn back to the Almighty's word. That's Yeshua. That's the written word as well, the Torah, his instructions, and just do them and have faith. But we refuse to listen. So let's go. We're in Isaiah chapter 3. Let's go to verse 2. It says, and this is going to prove what I just said. So basically what Yahweh is saying is that, you know, behold, he said in Jerusalem and in Yehuda, this is the kingly tribe. This is the lead tribe of Israel. And he's saying that he's going to take away the stay and the staff. So basically Yahweh is saying, because of sin and iniquity, he's going to take away the protector of the bread and the water. That's the man. He's going to take him out because we are not listening. And when your covering is gone, all hell is going to break loose. You see what I'm saying? Can you imagine, you know, we as believers, what if we didn't have Yeshua? Then what? All hell is going to break loose. Iniquity has already abounded, but it's going to abound even more. Because then there's no hope for man if Yeshua is gone. He is our only hope. He's our only hope at life, brothers and sisters. But that community of the Old Testament only, who don't believe in Yeshua, they only believe that we got just Yahweh, and he didn't send his word. You are in trouble. You are in trouble for believing that. Now, we ain't going to try to take away any power from Yahweh. But if you're saying that the one that he sent to be our Savior is not in existence, then you are failing. And you're in for a rude awakening at resurrection. All right? Let's read verse 2. It reads, the mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet, the prudent and the ancient. See, these are all the men of Israel that Yahweh's saying that he's going to take away because of iniquity. Verse 3, the captain of 50, the honorable man, the counselor, the cunning artificer, the eloquent orator. These are all the ones that create things in Israel, the craftsmen, right? And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. So now this is where the hierarchy starts to get messed up because of iniquity, because of sin. The man was once the leader. Now the children are going to be the leaders, right? So, and in verse 5, it reads, and the people shall be oppressed, every one by another, and every one by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, or the young adults, the young children. They're going to disrespect the elders. Back when I was younger, we were supposed to respect our elders. But we see nowadays these children don't have no respect for their elders, right? This is in Yahweh's word. This book of Isaiah is over 1,000 years old. Well, no, excuse me. Oh, what, 3,000 years old? And he's talking about what is going on today. The ancient and the base against the honorable, right? And let me read down to verse 7. Am I going down to verse 7? Yeah, let's keep on reading. Unless you want to add anything, brother. You want to add anything?
No, sir.
All right, let's keep rolling with it then.
Okay.
When a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler, and let this ruin be under thy hand. So he's saying, like, some men going to have that mindset that we want a ruler over us, so he's going to ask his brother. But in that day, This is verse 7. Shall he swear, saying, I will not be a healer, for in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of my people. So he's saying that it's going to be people that's want to elect men of Israel to become our leaders, but they're going to be like, no, I don't want that. That's because a lot of our men are emasculated and they are afraid to lead because of everything that we've gone through here in this captivity. You was about to say something, brother?
No, sir. You going.
Okay.
Keep it going.
I keep going.
Yeah.
So in verse 8, we read, for Jerusalem is ruined and Judah is fallen. We already know we're in captivity because their tongue and their doings are against Yahweh to provoke the eyes of his glory. We are against Yahweh. We do not give him the praise that he deserves as a nation. We're against them. Our mouths prove that. Our actions prove that. The show of their countenance does witness against them. That's what I just said. And they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their soul. So woe means destruction. Because we don't listen, because we're not giving Yahweh the proper praise that he deserved, he's saying, woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. We glorify evil more than we glorify honoring Yahweh. Everybody is in the evil way. Everybody is, man, you look on Instagram and Facebook and all you see is abomination. Nobody is giving Yahweh the praise that he deserves. You know? Verse 10 says, say ye to the righteous that it shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their doing. Again, woe unto the wicked, destruction. It shall be ill with them, for the reward of his hand shall be given. So everybody that's doing this iniquity and stuff like that, they think they just living life day to day. Everything is going to go peachy clean. Nothing's going to happen to them. They are sadly mistaken. They're sadly mistaken. When they're in that great white throne, or when they're in front of Yahshua at his coming, it's not going to be good for them. If you don't declare this to Yahweh, you don't give him the praise of your mouth, and you show him the faith that you have inside your heart, he's going to say, you know, away with you. I never knew you. I never knew you. Let me read this last verse. I'm going to chime in with you, brother. As for my people, listen to this. Children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. So the children are the oppressors, and women rule over the children, right? But y'all know how these children is. They whine for everything. So a lot of women believe that parenting is just buying your children a bunch of stuff. Hey, go play with that. They think that that's love. No, you know what the true love is? The true love is when you decide to lay down with somebody and have a baby bomb. The true love is getting married and cleaving together and becoming one like Yahweh commanded us to. That's the best love you can give a child, is to make sure that child grow up with both his mother and his father. All right? That's the best. And that's my opinion. You want to add to that, brother?
No, sir, brother. You hit a home run. You so right.
All right. So here in verse 12, it's saying, children are the oppressors and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead you cause you to err and destroy the way of thy path. So now that the children are in a higher seat and the women are in a high seat, they're causing our people to err, because who is declaring to our people that we have to turn to Yahweh and keep his commandments and faith? Women are stepping up in the role as being the head of the household now. Like I just said, we just took a poll. Everybody grew up without a father in the house. So now that means that the woman is now the head of the household. So if the woman is the head of the household, what is that woman doing to magnify the Torah of Yahweh in the nation, in the children? The children are our nation. So what are we doing? Now I'm going to take another poll real quick. And again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Anybody that's viewing this video, this is not to be calling nobody out. This is for us to talk about this so we can heal as a people. All right? Now, this is what I want to ask next. When you were growing up with your mom, I was a single mom too. Did your mom teach you everything there is to know about life? And what I mean is, did your mom teach you about sex? Did your mom teach you about dating and how to court a woman or a man and get you ready for to be a head of your household? Did your mother, teach you about, mathematics and history outside of what we were learning in school? So that's my question to you, bro. And I'm not trying to disrespect anybody.
Right.
I really want to know, like, did your mother teach you, if our mother's going to step up as the head of household, did she really take on that role to teach us everything and get us ready as black men in this country?
Well, my mother, she did the best she could, but she just didn't have, like now at this time and in my life, when I look back, I see some of the things that I did that were mistakes and a life of living certain sins and stuff. And I believe that had my father been an honorable man in Yahweh and been in my life, he would have guided me. And so a lot of things that I did, like fornicating, children out of wedlock, stuff like that, my mother could not really teach me as a woman, right? As a single woman that was married anyway. She just didn't know, and she didn't have it in her. She couldn't teach it to me. And besides that, once we become young men, that we understand already that we by nature are lions. We so out, what I say, we are the king, we know. So your mother really cannot really teach you how to be a man with respect to dealing with a family and ruling and running a family. Why? Because it's out of order. She's already running the family, and that should not be. It should be a man. So she's by her presence in the position she's in, my mother, she was only teaching me that it was nothing wrong with being without a father. See what I'm saying? So, but it's a lot of things that she couldn't teach me. She taught me some good things and I made it through, but it was a lot of things that when you get older and you understand this Bible and the word of Yahweh, you'll know a lot was missing. And it made big consequences that has extended to the next generations, to my children. So I could stop right there, but you can go on.
Okay. Did you hear the sister babe? I mean, excuse me, the question. So, like I said, I don't want to put anybody on blast, but to answer the question, I'll answer the question. I had to learn the hard way. My mom, of course, just like my brother Bethuel, did what she could as a single mother, but sometimes my mother had to work 3 jobs. So when you're a single parent, you got to work 3 jobs. You're already stressed. Your time is already stressed. There's only so much time you could give to a child. And see, because the hierarchy is messed up, so everything is out of whack. Most of her time is at the job. The little bit of time she comes back home, she's tired. She don't have time to really teach me. I'm learning from the world. And we know that when we learn from the world, that's where all the problems come into play. And that's where the emasculation of the male comes, because now we're learning from the world. We're learning from, who are we learning from? We're learning from our school teachers, who in most cases are white women, right? So we're learning about the white culture and how they want us to be and how they want us to interact with their world here in America, right? Who else we're learning from? We're learning from police officers. A lot of our little young boys out there, what the scriptures say, are like bulls caught in the net at the height of the street corners, right? That was me and my friends running around being little knuckleheads and stuff like that. Police harassing you and stuff like that. So we're learning that way. Also, we're also learning from other little boys in the neighborhood. Some may have had fathers. Some may not have had fathers. But we had to learn through trial and error. And that's not the way a child is supposed to learn. You see, a child is supposed to learn from his father and from his mother. But a mother that isn't stressed because she's taking the weight of the world on her shoulders. We're not trying to call out our mothers. What we're trying to do is trying to bring a light to this problem in this country. And the problem is there's too many single mothers. My mother, I love my mother so much, man. She did the best that she could, but it was not enough. And this is not a disrespect to my mother. It's not enough because being a single mother is not enough. A child deserves his mother and his father. And that's why I'm saying that. It's not enough. Let me unmute you. You got anything else you want to add?
You're exactly right. And here's something that's so important that okay, so the mother is the weaker vessel. So the weaker vessel, and so but the son is of the stronger vessel. And so how much can she teach you and how much can she say when your natural nature shows you that that you are the head? But then, like you said, the streets are teaching you, right? And so I'm gonna give you a good example that that we suffer because of this. Like, let's go back to the fornication issue. I would say 100% of my friends as men were fornicators at young ages. And and listen, it was embarrassing to be a virgin because the streets taught us. So when I was a virgin, I was embarrassed. Like, I couldn't let nobody know because that's embarrassing. See, and it was taught through the streets. See what I'm saying? And so by not having a father there who was a man over me, who I would have loved and would have listened to, because first of all, he lives with me. I love him. And also I fear him. And also he would be a good example to say, no, 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 son, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You're a virgin. That's a good thing. So and prepare for a wife and teach you as a man. You know what I mean? That's right there. That right there was missing. See, so you starting off on the wrong foot by getting into relationships and then what? You get into relationships and what happens? You fornicate and you do things and all kinds of stuff happen. Another generation begins and the problems. So that's just one example, but it's huge. It's huge. Financially, it causes stress financially, emotionally, everything is a problem. And it hurts the children too, because they're coming along and now they come into another broken situation in family. And it goes on, it's perpetual. So without having a father there to show the man how to, to procreate, you should be married. You should test if this woman is not going, if you're not going to marry this woman, don't waste your time, because this is intimacy between a man and woman is only through marriage. And so if you don't see her as the type that you would marry, you walk away. Don't plant your seed in her. Don't give it a chance. And so that's what the father could do. But a mother can't really tell you that. Why? Because she can say it, but as a man, I'm being a man, as a boy, your hormones are going and everything, and you're not really going to listen to your mother like that. But another man could teach you, just like other men could teach you, that it's embarrassing to remain a virgin until you marry. Go ahead, brother. I'll stop right there.
Right. And one more thing that I didn't mention, and before I begin, let me ask Sister Mavis real quick. And like I said, this is not putting nobody's family on hold, on our blast or anything like that. But you were raised by your grandmother. Did she specifically sit you down and say, this is how you interact with men when you go to date a man? Do XYZ, prepare for this, prepare for this. Did she prepare you in that sense? So she said, just for everybody that here, she said absolutely not. So is it safe to say you had to learn as you went on by yourself? Yep, trial and error. See, that's the ongoing track record in our community. Another thing to keep in mind too that I didn't mention that I meant to mention, so I wrote it down as a note, is also, and I can bear witness to this, because my mom was so busy as a single mom. Another thing that we as young boys and girls grow up learning from TV, media, Hollywood, right? So especially us as men, we start to watch movies and Hollywood, and we know how they like to portray the black male on TV as a criminal, as a thug, and they like to put the dress on. Okay, you can't even achieve in Hollywood unless you put that dress on. Now, one of my favorite sitcoms, as an example, is Martin, right? And we know Martin put on a dress and he played Shanae, right? So speaking of that, what I also wanted to go into is, if you haven't heard already, Tashana Arnold, she's the one that played Pam, posed the question to our nation. All right. Hold on. Let me share my screen and I'm going to go to the question real quick so everybody can see it. It's on my Facebook. Let me go to it real quick. All right. So this is my Facebook page. Hold on. Let me go to the question. Yeah, and this is the question right here. Right here. And let me unmute your mic so you can because I'm used to doing this with two computers. You can see that, right, brother?
Yes, sir.
All right. So can I move this out of the way? Let me move this out of the way so we can see it. So it says, honest question right here. It says, what can we as black women do? Excuse me, I'm sorry. What can we as black women in America do to stop aiding in the emasculation of black men in America? So that's a question that she posed. Very, very serious question. And the internet went crazy. It went absolutely bananas. I was watching some of the like the Shade Room and different sites on IG and looking at some of the responses, man, and they went crazy. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to go into some of the responses, but before I go into some of the responses, I want to do two things. All right. Yeah, let me stop sharing the screen for now. I want to do two things. First thing I'm going to do is, it was an honest question. Did you hear the question, sister? Did you hear the question? The question was, let's put it up again. She didn't hear it. Is honest question. What can we as women, black women in America do to stop aiding in the emasculation of black men in America? All right. So before, because some people, what I noticed is some people didn't understand the question. So a lot of people was responding as if she was only talking about the gay community. Hold on, my thing is freezing up. The screen blank too. And sorry, people, if we having some technical difficulties. I saw the screen just flash. Did you see the screen flash too, brother?
No, sir. It did it on my side.
Maybe it's just on my end. But you know how that go. Every Shabbat receiving difficulties and stuff like that. What is this on my screen? Hold on. Yeah, some kind of banner on my screen. But okay, it is what it is. I don't know what this is. Let me see if I can get this off of here. What is that?
From my side, I'm not seeing anything on your screen.
Yeah, I'm getting some kind of technical difficulties right here, but I'm seeing if I could get it off real quick. Maybe if I refresh. Let me try refreshing this. That's my page. All right, yeah, that worked. Okay. All right, so we all heard the question, and like I said, it was a lot of disingenuous answers because we didn't. A lot of people didn't understand the question, and that's what it is. It's like we saying, teaching comes from home. So a lot of people, rely on that education system of the heathen. You ain't going to understand what the word emasculation means. So the word, I wrote it down for you. The word emasculate in the dictionary reads as to castrate, okay? Deprive of strength or vigor, to weaken, deprived of or lacking strength or vigor, effeminate, okay? So it doesn't necessarily mean to make somebody gay. What it means is to take away a man's strength or to take away his Yah-given right to become the head of his household or the priest of his household. That's what it means to effeminate a man. You know, to
Come on
give
now.
him feminine qualities by taking away some of his strength. Is that fair to say, brother?
Yes, sir.
So that's one thing we want to do is that. And then one other thing I want to do real quick is to go into where all this stemmed from. Now, ultimately, we know that this stemmed from the Garden of Eden when Eve or Mother Hawa transgressed and allowed this adversary to deceive her. And that's what caused all these problems. But what specifically happened? What happened was we went into captivity. We went into slavery. Our ancestors went into slavery. Our heritage was taken from us. Our land was taken from us. Our language was taken from us. All of these things was taken from us. And then we had a people over top of us teaching us how they want us to live. And one of the tactics that they used was a form of slavery called the Willie Lynch slavery method. So let's go into a clip from the Willie Lynch. And we're going to talk about this. It's only about 5 minutes long. Let me switch my screen. Still having technical difficulties here. Bear with me, please, everybody. I don't know what's going on here. Let me check my signal. Everything seemed fine. Let me try to refresh this. Maybe this will help. I don't want it to kick me out, though. Let's see if I refresh this.
Of multiplicity of phenomena of illusions entails the principle of crossbreeding the nigger and the horse, as we stated above.
All right, so it started playing. You probably heard a little bit of it. Did you start hearing it?
Yeah, I did.
I'm having technical difficulties, but that's all right. I'm gonna switch it now. Let's share to this tab, and we're gonna go ahead and play it. All right.
The purpose of which is to create a diversified division of labor, thereby creating different levels of labor and different values of illusion at each connecting level of labor. The results of which is the severance of the points of original beginnings for each sphere.
It went down, brother. You gotta get that volume back.
Hold on, let me get it back up.
More complicated as we proceed in laying down our economic
I don't know why it's doing that.
Purpose, reason, and effect of crossbreeding.
Hold on, let me pause it and try it again.
Horses and nigger. We shall lay down.
I don't know why it's doing that. Let me see if I can fix it. Hold on. And then you know it's nothing but Shaitan.
Yes, sir. You know it.
Because any other time it play fine.
You know it.
All right, let me play it again and let me see if it'll happen. If not, we just had to roll with it. Because everything is turned up. All right, I got this all the way turned up. My volume is good. Let's just play it again.
And feather
There you
him.
go.
Tie each leg to a different horse faced in opposite directions. Set him afire and her, for in doing so, you spoil good economic. When in complete submission, she will train her offsprings in the early years to submit to labor when they become of age.
Hold on for a second. Did y'all hear that?
For a while.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that part, the small part, but it went out for a while.
It went out. You didn't hear it. I heard it on my end. So basically, what he said is to take the African woman, you know, train her up how you want her to train, so that she can train the little ones after her on how the slave master want the children to be. Mm-hmm. So basically, and I'm gonna play more of it. You know, make the African woman slave, you know, be dependent on the white man, right? Make her feel like she's independent and she don't need the man in the house. so she can teach the young children after her how to be. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
All right, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and just play it through, and then I'll stop. I think it's like 5 minutes. Let's go ahead and play it, and then we can talk about it. All right, let's go with it.
Understanding is the best thing. Therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of the subject matter concerning what we have produced here in this breaking process. Take the case of the two economic slave units and examine them closely. The nigger marriage, we breed 2 nigger males with 2 nigger females. Then we take the nigger males away from them and keep them moving and working. Say one nigger female bears a nigger female and the other bears a nigger male. Both nigger females being without influence of the nigger male image, frozen with an independent psychology, will raise their offspring into reverse positions. The one with the female offspring will teach her to be like herself, independent and negotiable. We negotiate with her, through her, by her, we negotiate her at will. The one with the nigger male offspring, she being frozen with a subconscious fear for his life, will raise him to be mentally dependent and weak, but physically strong.
Emasculation.
In other words, body over mind. Now in a few years, when these 2 offsprings become fertile for early reproduction, we will mate and breed them and continue the cycle. That is good, sound, and long-range comprehensive planning. Warning: possible interloping negatives. Earlier we talked about the non-economic good of the horse and the nigger in their wild or natural state. We talked out the principle of breaking and tying.
All right, so we there you go right there. You was about to say something, bro?
No, I said, wow, amazing.
So we heard it right there. That was from slavery, and that's how they did. They took the man away from the woman, pitted her against the man, got her to raise the children without the man. This started in the early days. When we were first brought here back in 1619. All right, so this goes back to the 1600s. So they took the man out of the shack or out of the house, whatever you want to call it. They put the women against the man, and they taught that woman to be dependent upon the slave master and to emasculate the children. And this is an ongoing cycle on to today.
Mm-hmm.
It's ongoing over and over and over again, right? So now we have this mindset of us black men. We grew up thinking this is normal behavior, to be with a woman, have a baby by her, and to leave and not be in the household. This is not normal behavior for a family. In order to raise the nation up, it starts with the family. Why are all the nations on this earth flourishing and we're the only ones that suffer? It's because the hierarchy of Yahweh is destroyed. That's why. The covenant wasn't with the nations. The covenant is with Israel. And he gives an invitation for other nations to leave their people and come and cleave to Israel. But they don't have curses on them because they didn't get the covenant. Israel has the covenant. And because we transgress, like we read in Isaiah, the man has been taken out of the house. You want to add anything, brother?
Brother, I just want to say that right there is like a million words, which you just said. It covers a lot of ground and understanding. So we know where the problem is. That's big time. But no, that's all I want to say.
Right. And you know what? I had put up a bunch of them, but we're going to just only read like a couple of them. A couple of the responses to Sheena Arnold, because I don't want to take up a lot of time. It's the Shabbat. We want to go ahead and get through this so we can go ahead and rest. But let's just go into a couple of them. Okay. I'm going to switch my screen. Hold on and bear with me because I got to do this with one computer instead of two. So let me go to this. Where's my name? Let me pull it up. And there was a couple of good ones. All right, let's go. All right. So let's go to Sheena Arnold. All right, this is a sister I follow. Her name is Erica Lachey. So let's go to this one. All right, let me put it on the screen. All right, this was what she said. Erica Lachey said, first of all, kudos to you for having the heart to even ask this. I believe combating any media, music, or conversations that try to reframe, what our men are without their consent is vital. And refusing to support any behavior that encourages emasculation. This is a wonderful, wonderful comment right here from a sister that actually really supports the uprising of the black male image in America. You know, so this is a wonderful message right here. You want to speak on that too, brother?
No, it's good. No, bro, go ahead.
Okay. All right, let me go to another one. Let me go back. How do I do this? Let me leave out of this one. Come on. And all right, let's go to this one right here. This is actually from Sheena Arnold herself. So basically she was saying, you know, still reading comments. Woo, two thoughts. Despite all, I will never be fearful of asking anyone questions. The black man and woman needs to heal together. And that's true. Brothers and sisters, we need to heal. We are up against a plethora of odds that are continuously stacked against us, but it won't change my love for all of us. Because this is the backlash she received. She received a lot of negative backlash. And I got to be honest, most of it came from our black sisters.
That's now, what that tell you?
That tell you everything we need to hear right now. There's a disobedience there. They do not want to hear it. They want to stay in the conditions that we're in. They still want to have this independent mind. They still want to be free thinkers to do whatever they want to do without worrying about Yahweh's hierarchy and continuing in the sin and iniquity that they know how to do. Right? That's how I see it. How do you see it, brother?
Brother, it is what it is. Like you said, what it is they like the demons that they're familiar with.
Right.
And so, you know, and that's our problem, you know, as Yahweh's creation. You know, these demons that teach things, we get familiar with it and we like it. But it destroys the nation and it keeps a distance between us and Yahweh. And what these women do not understand is that, and men, in this situation, we're at war, right? And so the minute that Satan, deceived Eve, even before he deceived Eve, we were already at war. The adversary was going to war with us, and he got sister Hawa, Eve, to do what she did. Then she got her husband. So the war had already started when Satan approached her. Then the war has been going on up to this day. We are at war with the wicked world. Why? Because especially the children of Israel are Yahweh's. He's the apple of his eye. And so no matter whether you want to be in a war or not, you're in a war. So then when you remove the strongest, the soldier from off the battlefield, you get the spoils. So basically, the man who is the warrior up against this adversary, he's moved out the way. So when you move him out the way, that's the same as if you go to a physical war. Now, this is a spiritual war fighting against us. But when you remove the men are soldiers out the way, what can you do? You go, the adversary goes in and he takes the women and do what he wants with them and the children. He has absolutely no opposition once he gets the man out the way. And so our sisters got to understand this. We're at war, and you need your men because it's a spiritual war, but yet Yahweh made the man the head to fight that spiritual war under Yeshua. So now when you move that is your weapon as a woman, and our weapon as a family, the man. He's your warrior. So it gets no plainer than that. Why didn't the man? Why would they want to remove the man? The slave master, as Brother Mekadai, as he played that audio, you saw what the slave master did, because it came from the spiritual world. Shaitan taught that the slave master, who is the kidnapper, he taught him what to do, how to do what he wanted to do to the black man to get reaping all the wicked benefits of the family of the Hebrew, the blacks. How you do it? By, first of all, it's very important to remove the man and emasculate the offspring of men. That is so important to establish what they wanted to establish, and that is to stay above us and use us to accomplish whatever they want, by at the same time being our enemy and destroying us. There you go. So the sisters got to know, remove the man, you're removing your warrior. There you go.
Hallelujah. So I don't want to take up a lot of time, but let's go to one more clip. But this time I'm gonna go to the sister. Let her defend herself in her own words, because I got a whole lot of little clips here, as you see. All of these I have stored on here to read, but I don't want to take up a lot of time. But what I will do is I'm gonna go to her, Erica Lachey. One of them, she said, "Why do people get upset when I defend black men?" Another one says, "All black men or black women are black men or are black women the prize?" So let's go to this one right here. All right. And I don't hear nothing on this, so let's go to this.
We gotta hold them accountable.
Let's start it over.
Y'all.
Here we go.
I notice y'all really can't stand it whenever I make a post defending black men. There's always a barrage of comments like, we gotta hold them accountable. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for accountability, but when do we not hold black men accountable? It's like every day, every time I get on the internet, someone is always talking about what black men not doing right. As a matter of fact, the only time we do bring up black men is to hold them accountable for the stuff that they not doing. I mean, it's almost like we're letting our personal experiences and the media, first and foremost, dictate how we feel about our own men. Never mind the several instances of black men who are protecting black women. Never mind the black man who pulled a black woman out of a burning building. Never mind the black man who jumped in front of a group of girls and lost his life defending them. Never mind the black men who are taking 12-hour shifts to defend a black woman in their neighborhood. Never mind that the vast majority, over 80% of black men are married to black women. We gotta stop letting the media tell us that our men don't love us and protect us. That's a lie. This country is hell-bent on destroying our men. Let's not help them. Y'all. I notice y'all really can't stand it whenever I make a post defending black men. There's always a barrage of comments like, we gotta hold them accountable. Don't get me wrong, all
right, so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. And yeah, so like the sister said, that's what we received. So a lot of the backlash, and I ain't going, like I said, I didn't go into all of them, but a lot of them, some sisters flipped the script, said, you know, well, why we even worrying about this? What about, you know, what the black men are doing for us? You know, they're playing the victim. And, you know, I'm not going to, you know, talk about the sisters in a negative light, but we got to stop doing that. It's sort of like, you know, back when the Black Lives Matter movement was going on. Now, we all know that was another agenda. We ain't going to go into that today, but that's sort of like, I'm just using that as an example. That's like saying, you know, Black Lives Matter, then they came with the All Lives Matter stuff. So it's like, while we're trying to, you know, address one topic in our nation, they always deflect to another topic to try to lessen the blow, so to speak. And we got to stop doing that. If we're talking about the emasculation of the black man, let's stick on that topic without putting anybody else on spotlight at that moment. You know what I'm saying, brother?
Yes, sir.
Because that happens a lot. So we talk about, you know, police brutality and unarmed black men being killed, but then they start to deflect and say, well, what about the black on black violence? You know, we got to stop doing that. Let's just, you know, deal with one topic at a time. And the topic at hand right now is Yahweh's hierarchy is so destroyed that we just cannot unite as a people. And our families are suffering. Our children are suffering. And that's the most important element in this whole scenario is the children, because they, like the song say, children are our future. They are the future of Israel. And if they're not right, what is our future going to be? You know?
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to go into this. So if you don't have anything to add, brother, we're going to go ahead and continue this so we can go ahead and get through this. Let's go to Isaiah, a precept to Isaiah 3 and 12. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 9. And I'm going to read down from 13 to 17. Let's put it on the screen. Isaiah chapter 9, verses 13 to 16. And it reads, for the people turns not unto him that smites them, neither do they seek Yahweh of hosts. So our people, when we get chastised and we get punished, you know, it comes from Yahweh. We don't turn to Yahweh. We don't understand. You know, Yahweh does this to us to correct us. He put us in this captivity to say, hey, get yourself together. You know, the way you've treated me has been horrible. Look in the mirror and change your heart. Circumcise the foreskin of your heart. All right? We don't turn to Yahweh. Verse 14, therefore, Yahweh will cut off from Israel head and tail, branch and rush in one day. All right? That's how he does it. He cut off the head. Who's the head? The man is. He cut it off. Cut off the tail as well. The ancient and the honorable, he is the head. And the prophet that teaches lies, he is the tail. We all know who that prophet is that teach lies. We know that's that Christianity. They teaching that lies. And see, I'm glad I read that verse because we have to stop allowing the Christian church to emasculate our males. They're teaching our males to say, you know what? It's okay to let the woman lead, to become beta males. It's okay to say, look, I'm not judging you. Don't judge me. That's emasculation. Making man afraid to speak up against somebody in your nation that's doing wrong. If you're violating Yahweh's sin, Yeshua said for us to call it out. Judge righteously. Just don't judge according to the appearance. That's what Yahshua said. We don't criticize or judge nobody how they look. But what we do is if we see somebody committing adultery, you need to call it out. If you see somebody, you know, stealing, you need to call it out. If you see somebody coveting somebody else's stuff, you need to call it out. But that's what the Christian church has taught us. Be quiet. Don't say nothing about my sin. I ain't going to say nothing about your sin. If I hear that one more time, I'm not judging nobody. Don't judge me. I ain't judging nobody. I'm going to scream. Because that is a tactic that Shaitan is using for us to say, you know, it's okay for you to sin. Don't speak on mine. I'm not going to speak on yours. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, let me unmute your mic. You want to say anything on that, brother?
Yeah, and that again, but to follow up with the judgment thing, I just want to make it plain. we know that is used talking about don't judge. You know, you shouldn't judge nobody. But we know that Shaitan uses that and teaches that, so then no one will turn from sin. Now here's how you know that it's stupid, because if my wife was to let's say if my wife was to go out and commit adultery, let's say she was doing that, and then I find out and I confront her, then she could easily say, if the rule is you can't judge me, she could say, you can't judge me, you judging me. So now when people use it, you're only using it when it's beneficial. You're using, you can't judge nobody because that sin is not directly impacting you. But when it's hurting you, let's just say when you invite someone over your house and then they steal from you and then you upset, that person, if you're going to go by that rule that's being taught, that don't judge nobody, then when they steal from you or they owe you money, they pay you back, no, you judging them. See how stupid that is? So you cannot say nothing to anybody if you're going by that rule, because every sin is a sin. So just because it directly impacted you now you want to have a problem with it. But if my neighbor stole from me and I go to saying something about that person is a thief or whatever, these people who say that would stand by and say, well, you know, I ain't trying to judge nobody. All of us are imperfect. I mean, you know, just pray for them. Because, you know, she might have hardships. You know, I ain't getting in it because I ain't judging nobody. This is the stuff you get. But when that neighbor steals from you, then it's on. So now the judgment part goes out the window, and you want to pay them back, or you want to deal with it. So that goes to show you how stupid that mindset that's being taught is, that don't judge nobody.
Hallelujah, brother. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and finish on. What we doing? We're doing Isaiah 9, 13 to 17. Let's pick up right here at verse 16. For the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed. We just read that in the other Isaiah chapter 3. Those that lead us cause us to err. Therefore, Yahweh shall have no joy in the young men, neither shall he have mercy on their fatherless and widows. So he ain't going to have mercy on these young men, these fatherless children. He ain't going to have mercy on their fatherless widows, the women. For everyone is an hypocrite and an evildoer, and every mouth speaks folly. For all this, his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. So it's like he says in his scripture, return to me, and I'll return to you. And as we said at the beginning of this study, the only way that we are going to be able to combat this problem with the hierarchy system and all the iniquity that we have in Israel is to return back to Yahweh and learn to keep his commandments and be obedient. Y'all see it right here in the top corner, in the top right-hand corner. Obedience is better than sacrifice. If you be obedient and continue to have faith in Yahshua, our nation will be healed. He said he's going to heal the land. He's going to hear our prayers. He's going to return to us if we return to him. And that's how we do this. All right. Before I move on, you want to add to that, brother?
No, sir, brother. You can move on.
All right, let's go to our next scripture. We're going to go to, tell you what, let's finish Isaiah chapter 3.
Okay.
And because the hierarchy is messed up, these are curses that's on our women that they don't really take into consideration. All right. So we're going to go ahead and read this down. So we finished in verse 12. We just read a precept. Let's start here in verse 13. Yahweh stands up to plead and stands to judge the people. Yahweh will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people and the princes thereof, for you have eaten up the vineyard and the spoil of the poor in your houses. What mean you that you beat my people to pieces and grind their faces of the poor, saith Yahweh of hosts? Moreover, now listen to this, sisters. This is directed towards you. Moreover, Yahweh says, because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk forth with a stretched forth neck. Y'all know how y'all walk. Y'all neck like this, can't tell y'all nothing. Switching, right? Walking and ministering as they go. That's what that means. Y'all walk, y'all like to walk and switch y'all tail. Y'all know how y'all do, right? As they go and making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore, Yahweh will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and Yahweh will discover their secret parts. Or other translations say Yahweh will lay bare their private parts. That's why you see a plethora of women all over the internet, half naked. It ain't even a shame no more. You got women that are, and excuse me, brothers and sisters, I am not trying to talk about nobody's outward appearance, but I have to give this context in order to make the point. But you got women that are obese, that are really out of shape, that wear those tight leggings that you can see through. Now, when I go to Walmart to buy my almond milk, I don't want to be going up the aisle seeing some big fat woman tail right there in the aisle as soon as I turn down. And that's what you see, because you can see right through those leggings. That's what this scripture is talking about. They are laying bare their secret parts. Everywhere you go, no matter where you at on social media, as soon as you turn it on, there's some woman on there with her boobs out or her tail out. That is a curse that is on our sisters, because they have not returned back to Yahweh. And like he said, he's going to smite the crown of their head. So a lot of women, their hair fall out, their edges get all messed up. Look at Jada Pinkett Smith. Everybody in the whole country talking about her and her alopecia and Will Smith. That's what it came from. It stems from the alopecia and Chris Rock making a joke about her hair. That's where all that foolishness came from. You know, this is a curse that is on our women. And I'm gonna read down. You want to add to that, brother?
No, brothers, you can move on.
All right, let's go ahead and move on down. So it says, in that day, Yahweh will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments out of their feet, and their calls and their round tires like the moon, and the chain and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets. You know, black women love to wear bonnets on their head. All the stuff that he's describing is all the jewelry that our women wear. This is how you know that black women are the true Hebrew Israelite daughter of Zion, right? The bonnets and the ornaments of the legs and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and the nose jewels. You know, black women like to wear nose earrings, or nose rings. The changeable suits of apparel and the mantles and the wimples and the crispin pins and the glasses and the fine linen and the hoods and the veils. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be stink. And instead of a girdle, a rent. And instead of a well-set hair, baldness. And instead of, instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. Right? They men shall fall by the sword, and the mighty man in the war. And the gates shall lament and mourn. And she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. So what we're seeing here, and what this is describing, is how these single mothers is going to be crying and mourning for their sons that's going to be falling in the streets. We see that now, even to this day. Our young men are being shot down by each other and shot down by white police officers that hate us, right? And what did it say? It said that it shall come to pass, it's going to be instead of sweet smell. So what is he talking about? Instead of a woman's body, her secret part smelling nice and sweet, it was intended to smell sweet. It's going to be stink, right? This is a curse. Instead of a girdle or rent. And then he said, instead of well-set head, baldness. That's why a lot of our women wear wigs and all of that stuff, because of baldness. Now, some of our women got nice hair, but some of them are bald, and that's a curse. All right, that's a curse. I'm going to go ahead and move on unless you want to add something, brother.
Real quick. So, and this is the NIV version, and it lays out a little more plain. Instead of fragrance, there will be a stench. Instead of a sash, a rope. Instead of well-dressed hair, baldness. Instead of fine clothing, sackcloth. Instead of beauty, branding. That's what I want to stop at, branding. So Now that this right here was talking about during the time of slavery, and it's still going on now. And I want to show you now that it's branding. You know, during slavery, what they did was, instead of beauty branding, what they did was they took a steel rod and they heated it up until it was flaming red, and they branded them. They took that and put it on their skin and burned, branding them as if they were cattle, claiming ownership. And so now, guess what? Shaitan never stops, because Yahweh's word, Yahweh is gonna use these fallen angels to carry out what he said is going to happen. So now, guess what the branding is? Now he, in his mercy, brought us up out of the chattel slavery, even though we're still in captivity. But now, guess what the branding is? The branding now is us, all our women now getting a tattoo at the top of their buttock where the crack is. Okay, they putting tattoos right there. See what I'm saying? Like, you still getting branded, you know? And so stuff like that, he continues. And so that's what is considered supposed to be sexy and in. But look, you got your pants hanging down. This is how you know this goes to that scripture. Now, we know a tattoo or something like that, we're not supposed to get them, and we know we got them and all this thing. But here's where it's more specific to what we're talking about. If you notice, it talks about showing in Brother Makadiah her inner parts, showing her those things that are supposed to be supposed to be secret, but only exposed to her husband. Well, I'm saying this scripture fits directly to not just the tattoo, but where the location. Check it out. A tattoo right over the parting of her buttocks. You're not even supposed to see that. But the only way you're going to see it, the tattoo, is she must wear her pants, get the low rider pants, which they make, so you can show that. And upon her breasts. And when the slave, I would say the kidnappers put them in slavery and branded them, they took that hot iron and they see it on the around the breasts. So now they putting tattoos right there on the breasts. And a tattoo again above the crack. So this right here, the word right there it followed through. From chattel slavery up to the day, it's still happening.
Yeah, they call that nowadays, they call that the tramp stamp. And don't the scriptures say for our daughters not to be turned to whoredom?
Yep.
That's what the commandments say. But they call that the tramp stamp. Mm-hmm. That's crazy, man. I saw that too last night, by the way. That's how the Ruach worked. Yeah. It was I was reading in the ESV for a little while. Mm-hmm. And the only reason I didn't even read the ESV, I was like, I don't want to bring all these Bibles up here today. I said, I'll stick with the King James. But that's how Yahweh works, see? Mm-hmm. Through you. He brought it out anyway.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Yeah, man. I grew up in a household. My entire household was mainly women. Mm-hmm. All right. Now I had a very fun upbringing. You know, I have a lot of female cousins. We had a good time, but the male image was not there. And the reason why I wasn't there is because we lived in a house with my grandfather and my grandmother, my mother, my aunts. I had one uncle. I was the only male child at the time in the house. And I had my cousin, one of my female cousins. She was the oldest. I was the second oldest cousin. And then we had a lot of other little cousins after that. But it was a lot of us in the house, but it was mainly girls. And then, you know, my grandfather and my grandmother divorced. And, you know, he went his way and she went her way. And, you know, we spent more time with the mother. You know how it is.
Yeah.
So now my grandfather's out of the house. He was the male image. He's out of the house, and you know we learned everything from the women. Mm-hmm. Everything was from the women, mm-hmm. And I'm not taking anything from the women, but again, we have to have that male image there. Mm-hmm. Little boys need to see a male image. Only a man can show a boy how to become a man.
That's right.
Women cannot teach. You can teach them as much as you want to teach them, but you cannot teach them how to be a man. And our little boys need their fathers, because this world that's stacked against them out that window is a very, very bad place. And they got a lot to learn to get them prepared for, or they're going to be in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I just wanted to add that until we move on. So next we're going to go to Isaiah chapter 30. And we got a few more scriptures, and then we're going to skate up out of here. But I'm going to go to Isaiah 30. And I'm it's a little broke up. So I'm gonna read 1 to 3, then 8 to 13, then verse 15. So it says, "Woe to the rebellious children," says Yahweh, take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering. Hold on here, little feedback. Let me mute that. That cover with a covering, but not of my ruach, that they may add sin to sin. So he's saying, woe to these children. You know, they take counsel, but the counsel ain't of Yahweh. That's because they taking a counsel from the world, the things that we name, Hollywood and TV, out there in the world with all the other little boys and girls running around, you know, from the single mother that's working too much, that ain't got too much time for them. You know, this is where he's getting his counsel from. He's not getting it from the Ruach of Yahweh. So what is he saying? That is adding sin to sin. So iniquity is starting to abound, because now Yahweh isn't present in the household. When I grew up, Yahweh wasn't in my household. Jesus Christ was. But Jesus Christ ain't say nothing in my household. We did whatever we wanted to do. You see what I'm saying? Verse 2. That walk to go down into Egypt. We know Egypt means the house of bondage. And have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of the Pharaoh. We know the Pharaoh was the king of the house of bondage, and to trust in the shadow of the house of bondage. Therefore shall the strength of the Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of your bondage, the house of bondage, your confusion. So basically what he's saying is, if you have trust in the house of bondage, we all know people got trust in the American government. That's what he's saying. This is where all your trust is, right? So if all your trust is in the political system, in Biden, and Kamala Harris, and all of them, that is going to be your confusion. All right? Whereas you're supposed to be learning from a righteous man. A Hebrew Israelite man is supposed to be at the head of your household instead of the house of bondage. And that's why you got confusion. Let's read down to verse 8. Now, go write it before them in a table and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come forever and ever. That this is a rebellious people, lying children that will not hear the instructions of the Almighty Yahweh. We will not hear it, right? Which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, but speak unto us smooth things. Prophesy deceit. What did I just say? Yahweh wasn't in our household. Jesus Christ was. We wanted to hear smooth things. God is good. God is good all the time. You know, don't judge me, and I ain't going to judge you. These are the smooth things. But in my household, where was keep the Sabbath? Where was, honor your mother and your father? Where's don't steal, don't lie, don't murder? None of that stuff was present in my household. We had to learn as we was going along from the world, right? And it says here, get you out of the way, turn aside out of the path, because the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. Wherefore, thus saith Yahweh, thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because you despise this word and trust in oppression and perverseness and stay thereon. So that's what we trust in. We just said we trust in the house of bondage. That's where the oppression come from. The perverseness. We know it comes from Babylon. That is what we trust in now, because the father has been removed from the house and he's not teaching his children rightly. So what does this say, verse 13? Therefore, this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly as an entrance. Because of all this iniquity, what does he say? The breach is going to come. That means everything is going to break and come down upon us. And that's exactly what has happened to our nation in this land, because we trusted in the house of bondage rather than trusting in Yahweh.
Come on now.
All right. One last verse right here, and then I'll let you have it, brother. For thus saith Yahweh, Elohim, the Holy One of Israel, and returning in rest shall you be saved. I've been saying that this entire time. Return to Yahweh, and he'll return to you. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength, and you would not. See, this is what Yahweh wants us to be. What does he say? He tells the women to be silent in the assemblies, right? We don't got to have all that mouth. Be silent and just strive and serve Yahweh. All right. You want to go ahead and add on before we move on, brother?
No, brother, you can move on.
Okay. So let's go to Isaiah chapter 15. We're getting down to it. I do got one thing that I do want to bring out though.
Uh-huh.
And I want our women to really see this. But let's read let's go to Isaiah chapter 51 real quick. All right. We at Isaiah 51 and we're reading 15 down to 23. And it reads, but I am Yahweh thy Elohim that divided the sea, whose waves roared. Yahweh of hosts is his name. And I have put my words in your mouth, and I have covered thee in the shadow of my hand, right? That I may plant the heavens and lay the foundations of the earth and say unto Zion, you are my people. Awake, awake, stand up, O Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the people, Zion, which has drunk at the hand of Yahweh the cup of his fury. You have drunken the dregs of the cups of trembling and wrung them out. There is none to guide her among all the sons whom she has brought forth. Did you hear that? Yahweh says there's none to guide her. Who? The daughters of Zion. Because all the men are out of the house. And then she tries to replace him with the stepfather. Then he fails. Then here comes another man. Then he fails. And then, you ever notice in that cycle that man's strength gets weaker and weaker and weaker because her tolerance is getting weaker. And it's partly the man's fault too, because he should have did what he needed to do to continue to be the head of his household. You can't make somebody's heart be turned to you, but we got to strive the best we can to keep each other happy and keep our friends and keep our families together. This says there is none to guide her among all the sons whom she has brought forth. Neither is there any that take her by the hand of all the sons that she has brought forth. So even as she brings forth sons, there's no sons that's going to step forth and become the head of the household. All right. These two things are come unto you. Who shall be sorry for you? Desolation and destruction and the famine and the sword, by whom shall I comfort you? And these things have come upon us, brothers and sisters. Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets as a wild bull caught in a net. They are full of fury, of the fury of Yahweh and the rebuke of Yahweh. So we see that to this day, man. I ride past in the city. A lot of jobs I do in the city. You ride past like North Avenue, Pennsylvania Avenue. You see them at the top of the street corners. They just there, just huddling early in the morning. It's the first thing in the morning. What y'all doing out here? What are y'all out there doing? It's ridiculous. Here, let me unmute your mic. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You still see that stuff, don't you?
Oh, yeah. All you got to do is ride through the city.
They standing there just ready to get caught like a bull in a net, just like the scriptures describe. So that was going on back then, and it's still going on now.
Yeah.
Back then is Isaiah time. That was back during the Babylonian captivity. So they was doing it back then, and now we see it here too. Because our strength is diminished. Right? And because our strength is diminished, our men are out there without a guide. So they're out there at the top of these corners. Some of them selling drugs. Some of them even turn to whoredom themselves and prostituting their bodies. A lot of effeminate men out here. Trannies too. Out here selling their bodies and stuff like that. It's a cycle. Therefore, hear now this, you afflicted and drunken, but not with wine. See, we drunken by the abominations of this world. Thus saith Yahweh. Thus says thy master Yahweh and thy Elohim that pleadeth the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken out thine hand the cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of my fury. Thou shalt no more drink it again. But I will put it into the hand of them that afflict you, which have said to thy soul, bow down. So this is our oppressor, right? He said he has put it in their hand. That's because we transgress, so thus we have to go into captivity. All right, he warns us of this, that we may go over, right? And thou hast laid thy body as the ground and as the street to them that went over. So you hear that? The oppressor is saying that we are going to go over, or we're going to cross over. So one thing to understand in the Hebrew culture, to be a Hebrew actually means one who crosses over. One who crosses over from paganism or idolatry and all that worldly wisdom to the truth of Yahweh's word. That's what being a Hebrew is really about, to cross over. All right. So we see that that's what the oppressor want to do. And so we know there's a lot of people that rule over us, and they especially over there in the land now pretending to be Hebrews, right? They're pretending to be the ones that crossed over. So that was my point. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, you hit a home run, brother. But what's major about what came to mind is that I want in this to distinguish. It's just not people with melanin that have a darker hue. All this teaching right now is directly the Hebrew Israelites that are identified through captivity, meaning that if you are a descendant of the kidnapped out of Africa and you are scattered throughout all nations in the four quarters of the earth, and also the other 10 tribes that were ran out of the land, all down into all parts of Africa, we are all suffering the same things, but especially Yahudah, who was taken off the land. All these things that we're talking about right now, if you can go over into Europe, you can go over into England, where some of our brothers and sisters were spread. You can go into the islands. Wherever we are, it's the same conditions that identify us, that make us separate from all the other nations, and that's including the black people from the land, the Hamites, from the Hamites. You can see the difference in the conditions and the things that plague us, like no fathers in the house, which we're talking about. All these things tell you who we are. And what we're trying to do here in this Shabbat day worship service is to identify the problem and therefore go forth with the remedy. And the remedy is to turn to Yahweh completely and obey his commandments and do opposite of what our ancestors have done and what we have done, and we can solve this problem. Now, we can't solve it as a whole as a nation, but the remnant of the nation can do it, because only a remnant of us are going to make it. But these curses are going to follow us until we repent. So therefore, we do have a chance to escape this, because we do have a remnant. And so therefore, we have to now take heed and obey this hierarchy, first of all, in the family. Women have to listen, obey this. And men, we have to take our rightful place and obey Yahshua. And there you go.
I had myself muted. Okay, so for time's sake, I wanted to read Esther 1, but we ain't going to read the whole thing. But let's turn to the first book of Esther, something I want to show y'all real quick. Now, this is another culture. This is going into the Persians, the Persian and Media, Persian Medes. But something happened in that culture. And so our women need to learn this too. And we can learn from watching some of the other cultures around the world. Like, this hierarchy of Yahweh is not just contingent on the Hebrew Israelites.
That's right.
That hierarchy is contingent on all man. But what we notice with all the other nations is that hierarchy is still intact.
True.
You go to China, the man runs that country.
Come on now.
The man. Their king is a man. Their ruler is a man, right? And in the households, the man runs the family. The women are out of all the nations on the face of this earth. I have to say, over in China and Japan, their women are the most submissive out of any woman on the face of this earth, from what I've witnessed. Now, you can help me out if you noticed anybody different, brother.
But I did notice that when I was in the motherland, the women were from my experience over there and talking with the man and his family and explaining it, they were pretty submissive too. They were really taking hold of their roles, you know, and they were Muslim though, a lot of them. So I spoke with a Muslim, but I could see how even the women, the way they were dressed all through the country, they were covered. Okay, they were covered. And to go off of what you said too, something I want to run here real quick. Doing my job, I used to do investigations on all kinds of people all over the world, and it's coming to this nation. And I, you know what Brother Macadai said is confirmed. It's true. The women of these other nations, they do follow this order, even though they don't even know Yahweh. They believe in Allah and all that stuff. But guess what? The Arab women, everything who I interviewed, they do follow their fathers and their husbands. They do not do what is taught. And when I engaged them, I spoke with them and asked them questions that turned out to be appalling to them. But they were common questions, because if you're an American woman, you can live like this. So I had to ask them certain questions, and they was like, no, I would never do that, because my family wouldn't have it. Like their fathers and their brothers and their husbands would not have it. So the question I asked them, like, do you have any children? I asked the woman. She was 40 years old. And I said, any children? I got to ask this. But she already knew that she had told me she had never been married. So when I asked her, did she have any children? It was appalling to her, because she knew that her father, since she wasn't married, she got to have a head, was not going to have it. So you see what I'm saying? So she still was submitting to her father's house because she had not been married yet. So these are the things that I'm talking about. But go ahead. There's so much I could say, but I'm going to stop right there.
Absolutely. Because, that's the order anyway. And that's why, when you're in your father's household, that's why a dowry had to be paid, because she's going from her father's household to her husband's household. That's why that dowry had to be paid, because you're taking a member of that family, and that restitution has to be made for that family member.
That's right.
A lot over there in over in England and stuff, they still pay dowries and stuff like that.
They still do it in Africa.
Yeah, in Africa too. So that's really, really serious. It's over here in the land of confusion. They don't have no respect for the hierarchy. So why would they try to teach us here that we should pay a dowry? Right. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. Like I said, I'm not going to read this whole thing. We're going to start at Esther 1 and verse 1, and then I'm going to jump down to verse 9. And it reads, now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, this is Ahasuerus, which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 127 provinces. So I'm going to go down to 9. And also Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to King Ahasuerus. So Vashti was his queen, right? It says on the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, so he was a little wet, a little intoxicated, he commanded Mehuman, Bistha, Harbuna, Bigtha, and Abagatha, Zephar, and Carcas, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus, the king, to bring Vashti, the queen, before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, but she was fair to look on. So now the king is ordering his queen to come. He want to show off his bride. Okay. But look at this, verse 12. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains. Therefore, the king was very wroth, and his anger burned inside him. So, back during this day, in this culture, the king tell you to do something, you better do it. But not even that. This commandment also goes with men, period. So when a man tells his wife to do something, she's supposed to do it, right? Look at what it reads next. Then the king said, this is verse 13. Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king's manner towards all that knew law and judgment. And the next, stop all that noise. And the next unto him was Kashina, Shethar, Admintha, Tarshish, Miraz, Mersina, and Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, and which sat the first in the kingdom. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to the law, because she has not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains? Then Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti, the queen, has not done wrong to the king only, listen to this, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus. So you see right here, because the queen failed to answer the queen at his command, this not only affects the king, but it also affects the princes, and it also affects the kingdom, because there's a hierarchy there. And so when that hierarchy is destroyed, everybody is affected by it, right? Excuse me. It further reads, for this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes, when it shall be reported the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not. So it further expounds on the fact that when women are being disobedient, that can spread to all the other women as well. And see, this is a problem. And all throughout time in Israel, when there was iniquity, we have to purge that iniquity out. But now we're in captivity, we have no control over it, and now it's burning like wildfire. You want to add anything to this so far, brother?
No, sir, brother. Keep going.
All right, we're going to go ahead and finish this out here. So it further reads, verse 18, likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king princes which have heard of the deed of the queen, thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before the king Ahasuerus, and let the king give his royal estate unto another that is better than she. Do you see how serious this is? So basically the people are saying, let it be a commandment that she gone out of your household and replace her with a new queen, so to speak. This is how serious this is, right? Verse 20, and when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to the great and small. All right. And the saying pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Memucan, for he sent letters into all the provinces, into every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people. So you see, brothers and sisters, how serious it is for that hierarchy to be in place. And then, like we said, this is not just in Israel, and we see this is with the Persians and the Medes as well. And they made it so that they made sure that their women followed this commandment, okay, of Yahweh, because this is Yahweh's commandment, okay? Yeah, the king is reissuing this decree, but ultimately this is Yahweh's commandment of hierarchy, okay, that he established in the garden, way back then. All right. All right. I got a few more scriptures I want to cover. You want to add to this before I go to it, brother?
No, sir. You can move on.
And I know, brothers and sisters, bear with us. I know this is a little involved, but this is a very serious topic, and we really need to establish, some conversations in Israel, because this has been going on far enough. All right. So what I'm gonna do now is I just got a couple of scriptures out of the Apocrypha. I'm gonna go to Ecclesiasticus, or what we know as Sirach. Let's go to Sirach chapter 25. All right, Sirach chapter 25. Let me turn to it here. You know what? I'm gonna read it out of my ESV Apocrypha. I was gonna do the King James, but I changed my mind. So let me go to 25, and we're going to start here at verse 12. Verse 12 reads, "The fear of Yahweh surpasses everything. To whom shall be likened the one who holds it fast?" Right? "Any womb, but not a womb of the heart. Any wickedness, but not the wickedness of a wife. Any attack, but not the attack from those who hate. And any vengeance, but not the vengeance of enemies. There is no venom worse than a snake's venom, and there's no wrath worse than an enemy's wrath. I would rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than dwell with an evil wife." Did you hear that? This is what the prophet is saying. He'd rather dwell with a lion than an evil wife. And a lot of men can relate to that. And this is because a man and a woman both should be each other's shalom. We should both be each other's peace. All right. This ain't no one-way street. It ain't all about just pleasing a wife. It ain't all about just pleasing a man. We got to be able to be there for each other. "The wickedness of a wife changes her appearance and darkens her face like that of a bear." Y'all ever notice how beautiful some of these women are? But when they start to speak and that evil personality comes out, they actually look like a very wicked person. You ever notice that, brother?
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen it a lot.
Yeah, she might be really beautiful on the outside.
Yes, sir.
But that inside is like, oh man, that's just crazy.
Yes, sir.
So where am I at? Verse 17, verse 18. "Her husband will take his meals among the neighbors, and he cannot help sighing bitterly. Any iniquity is insignificant compared to a wife's iniquity." That's serious. "May a sinner's lot befall her." Let me read that in the KJV too. Let me see, 25 and 19. This one says, "All wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her." That's deep. "A sandy ascent for the feet of the age, such as glorious wife for a quiet husband. Do not be ensnared by a woman's beauty, and do not desire a woman for her possession." So basically what he's saying is, especially when we courting women, don't let it be all about just how beautiful she is, because that's all women are leading with nowadays. It's just, their assets and their breasts and cleavage and all that. Don't let that be the only reason why you make a union with a woman. Especially don't let that be the only reason why you have children. All right. You got to get to know each other. You got to really know the inside of a person. All right. These are nothing but suits that we're wearing. This is flesh. All right. Yeah, it's beautiful in the beginning to be attracted to your mate, but the true attraction comes from the heart. All right. Verse 21. No, I just read that one. Verse 22. "There is wrath and impotence and great disgrace when a wife supports her husband." So what he's saying is, if a wife is the only one working and the only one supporting her husband, that's a disgrace. That goes to all you men out there that are just sitting around drinking all the juice all day while your wives out there working and slaving. All right. A man is supposed to be the provider. Yes, it's okay for your woman to work and help you, but that should not be the sole providing in the house. the man has to go out and make money as well. And yes, it's okay for the wife to help her husband. That is what she is supposed to do. You know, if you see your husband struggling with bills or struggling with anything in life, your job as a woman and as a wife is to help your husband, and vice versa. If you see your wife struggling anyway, don't the scriptures say, husbands, love your wives? We're supposed to step in and take over and help her. So it further reads, where were I? Verse 22. Oh no, I read that one. Let's go to verse 23. An evil wife means a dejected heart, a gloomy face, and a wounded heart. A wife who does not call her husband blessed means drooping hands and weak knees. From a woman's sin had its beginning, and because of her, we all died. So he's going back to the garden. We spoke on that today. It's because of Mother Hawa's transgression in the garden that sin had its beginning. And because of that moment right there of breaking the hierarchy, we have all the sin we have now. And because of that, we all have to die. All right. Allow no outlet to water and no boldness of speech in an evil wife. If she does not go as you direct, listen to this. This is a commandment. If a wife goes as you do not direct, separate her from yourself. That's what the scriptures say. Now, I'm not telling anybody to leave their wives or anything like that, because, you know, that is frowned on anyway. But if you have a disobedient wife who just will not listen to you, according to the scriptures, you have every right to go ahead and do what you got to do. You have fornication. If you find anything unclean in her, or wives, if you find anything unclean in your husband, and you cannot reconcile, you have that right to part ways. All right. With that said, let me go ahead and I'm gonna go by the Ruach right now. I had a couple other scriptures. One was in Judith. If y'all want to write these down, and then I'm gonna check with Brother Betzelwell. I'm not even gonna go into it. Judith is just one scripture. Is Judith chapter 12, verse 14. Also, I was going to go back and just reiterate Ephesians 5. So we had Judith chapter 12, 14. I was going to go into Ephesians 5, 15 through 33. All right, that goes into the hierarchy and how important it is for wives to follow their husbands, right? Yeah. And that the husband is the head of the wife. So we all know that. But for time's sake, I'm gonna read these last two closing scriptures. This is in Genesis. Let's go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 21 through 25. And we're going to go ahead and finish this out. For time's sake. Yeah, I know it was a little long, but these are scriptures we heard before, so everybody can read them on their own time. So we right here in Genesis. Hold on, I'm in the wrong page myself. Genesis chapter 2, verse 21 through 25 reads, and Yahweh Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs, and he closed up the flesh instead thereof. So we see this is the first surgery ever created here on this planet, right? And the rib which Yahweh Elohim had taken from the man made he a woman and brought her unto Adam, right? That's because he created the woman for the man. He said, look, this is what I created for you. Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother. And this goes for wives too. Women, you should leave your father and your mother and shall cleave unto your wife. Women, you should cleave unto your husband, and they shall be one flesh, right? It doesn't mean cleave to each other, have babies, and then separate. We got to stop this in the black community. All right? It says cleave to each other. All right? That means be united with each other forever until death do you part. Yeah. Last scripture of the day. Let's go to Genesis 3:16. It reads, and we all know this history here. This is when Mother Hawa transgressed. Shaitan was part of it. Father Adam was part of it. And so this is the chastising of Mother Hawa, who those don't know that Hebrew name is for Mother Eve. And he says unto the woman, he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception in sorrow. Thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over you. It's just that simple. The father is the head of the household, then the wife, then the children. Because of that transgression, we have all this foolishness that we got today. All the other nations are still obeying this commandment right here. They're keeping their men in the hierarchy in place and their women in place, but yet the oppressor came and taught our women, just like we just read in the Willie Lynch letter, or we heard today, that that is his biggest tool to turn against the black man.
That's right.
Brothers and sisters, the last thing that I'm going to say, and then I'll let Brother Betzuel have it, is the only solution that we got is to turn to the commandments of Yahweh. If we do what he commands us to do, we shouldn't have any problem. And we should all be able to get along perfectly and continue to have faith in Yeshua HaMashiach and endure to the end. That's all I got, brother. You want to close it out and say anything?
Well, yeah, let me finish with this then. So when it comes down to the hierarchy, what Yahweh is the most important, Yeshua is the most important, then man, woman, children, we are his creation. So we don't get to tell the Almighty, how we want to do this or do anything. We're his creation. If you do that, you can try it, but trouble comes upon us like it has. So the whole goal is that to please the Creator. And so therefore, out of pleasing the Creator, because he created, we're his. Oh, wow. Beauty comes about, so much good come out of it for us. It's good for us. So to obey this hierarchy, and it basically is trusting Yahweh. It's trusting it. I mean, the scripture that trips people up, it says that, and this is what Christians always use. It says if you confess with your mouth that he is Yahweh Elohim, and you believe in your heart, then you are saved. So then they say, oh, well, shoot, I'm saved. Yeah, because I confess with my mouth and I believe in my heart. But see, the believe in the heart part, which we can extend on this on another day, that's the part that people are tripped up on. Because if you believe in your heart, then you will obey him. That believe in your heart means that you believe in what he says. You believe in everything he tells you to do. You believe in him. You're saying basically everything he says, tells me to do is right, and right to do it, and I must do it. That's the belief he's talking about. And with that belief is love. So therefore, this hierarchy, Satan messed up the hierarchy from the beginning because he knows that that's it. That's the biggest thing going. To cause the man and woman to get out of order with Yahweh, that's the biggest thing going, and everything falls down after that. But if we come together to understand our positions in this hierarchy, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. It is beautiful for a woman to be submissive. Her body tells you that. Her parts are soft, which is submissive. Why would you want to go against what you were created to do and be? And a man is supposed to protect that softness. He is like a shell over her. But if you fight against your protection, how will you be protected? If you're a crab, why would you take off your shell so then your protection is gone? The man is like your shell. Yahweh gave you a shell to protect you. So therefore, the man being a shell, you are supposed to protect her because she's precious. So there it is. And the only way we can do that is to obey these commandments together. That's it.
That's it. Praise Yah for that. So with that said, brothers and sisters, let's give all praise and honor to our Father, the Almighty Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten Son, Yeshua HaMashiach, the light of the world, and our soon coming King, Redeemer, and Deliverer. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yah willing, we see y'all again next week. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom. Bye.